The situation in the U.S. is getting worse day by day, and every day that goes by, it just seems like there's less and less that you can do anything about it. I'm seeing a lot of talks about the Venezuelan gangs. I don't even know which one they are. There's always some new group that you have to learn every so often, every a couple years. And I think it's called Treinta Aragua, something like that. I'm gonna assume I don't really do too much homework on all these news stories when they come up, but I'm guessing they're basically kind of like, you know, the MS-13 in that regard. I mean, from what I've heard, they just basically operate in the same way. And yeah, no, they're pretty brutal, I'm guessing. But I guess they've taken over Colorado, or at least Aurora, Colorado. And I guess they're, you know, taking over an apartment complex. From what I've heard, from what I've seen, I don't know too much about the situation. I'm not gonna, you know, report anything on it. I had some ideas, or at least I was thinking about it the other day, and it just made me think that in the Patriot universe, in the Patriot sphere, the right wing, if you want to say that, if you want to call it that, there's this underlying idea that this country, or at least the citizens of this country, the denizens of this country, are going to, that's the only thing that keeps us free, you know, quote unquote free. And that's what keeps us free, is basically weapons, you know. The Second Amendment, the First Amendment is protected by the Second. So we have this idea that the populace is well armed and willing, because there's one thing is if you're well armed, if you have a gun, that's one thing, but if you're willing to do something, that's another thing. There's a lot of people that have guns, but they're not willing to, you know, defend themselves. And that's what I'm kind of seeing here on a pretty large scale right now. As of right now, the Venezuelan gangs, you know, nobody's going to do anything about it. No one's, apparently right now, the Hells Angels are out there to go do something about it. I really doubt it. One thing, you know, it's just it makes no sense for the Hells Angels to do anything unless, you know, and it's like, you know, the Hells Angels too. There's some on the right. One of the guys that I follow, Black Scout Survival, he's talking about it. You know, he's kind of hyping them up. I'm guessing, you know, he's talking about it like, yeah, man, these are good old boys gonna do something. I don't know. I saw his video yesterday. I don't think he was to that extent. I'm not trying to paint him as, you know, but I feel that that's what some of these dudes on the right are probably going to be, you know, deducing to. They're going to be saying, you know, it's like, oh yeah, man, it's so bad right now that we've had to, you know, that the Hells Angels are going to do something about it. And if you know anything about the Hells Angels, they seem pretty rough and tough. And I don't doubt it, you know, a lot of those dudes are probably in and out of prison, you know. They're always doing some shit, you know, and then this and that. But it's like with most gangs out now. You know, most American gangs in the US, they are a completely neutered version of what they used to be during like the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, even early 2000s. They're nothing compared to what they are. And if you think about it, you know, I don't doubt that. I'm not going to downplay anyone. I'm not going to downplay your average Joe down the street, because at any point, you know, you underestimate someone, and next thing you know, it's like they got a gun to your head. You know, when they looked like a gray man, you know, like they were, you know, basically, you know, harmless guy. But yeah, the same thing. I'm not going to underestimate the Hells Angels, but it's to the point, you know. It's just like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, going up against the Venezuelan gangs, it sounds like it's like, oh yeah, they're taking it back, this and that. They're gonna do what we can't do. It just it almost seems like more kind of like just a flex. It's good PR, it's good marketing, but in the end, it's probably very self-serving. And not only that, maybe it has something to do with the drug trade, or I don't know. They're maybe maybe they're encroaching on their territory out there, and it's probably one of their their what is it called, their traps. The apartment complex is probably a trap out there. So that's one of the ideas I have. That's one of the things I wanted to say out there. It's just, yeah, it seems like very, very I don't know, it seems like very kind of like phony. I don't know. It's like, not to mention too, the most phony aspect of this whole thing, this whole Colorado Venezuelan gang, is that we have such a neutered and very cucked populace, a very neutered and very cucked citizenry. Like everyone that lives here, it's always the same thing. It's like, when shit hits the fan, when World War III happens, when we're getting invaded, that's when I'll do it. That's when I'll do, that's when I'll pop off. That's when I'm gonna go Rambo and this and that. But it ends up being that even when you do have like people like that, like these, Treinta Aragua, whatever they're called, even when they are here, they've invaded your territory. None of these patriots are anywhere to be found. It's almost as if you guys are just nothing but empty, veiled threats. These dudes, these patriots that you always see popping off in comment sections, it's like the Tree of Liberty, the Tree of Liberty, that kind of thing. These dudes will never, ever, ever, ever do anything. They'll never raise a finger to defend themselves or their community, let alone, neighboring states, neighboring people in other states that might be under threat. It's all phony. We've all been sold a lie, no matter what side you're on. There's probably going to be some people like, oh, why are you clowning on the right? But I'm clowning on the right because every time that there's a possible, like, take the COVID pandemic, the scamdemic, the pandemic. What were they doing? The only thing that they did was make, issues about it at the Walmarts or the CVS's that they were at. That's all they did. They made it was a very, very virtue signaling, affair. That's all it was. It was basically, look at me, look at how virtuous I am. I'm not wearing my mask. You two that are wearing your masks are retarded. That's all it was. That it wasn't anything. Like it was like it looked like it was like, yeah, they're taking it back, step for freedom. But no, man, that was like probably the perfect time, if anything, to start in Minecraft, an armed rebellion in Minecraft. That was the perfect time to like literally like go to like the headquarters of all of these corporations that stole everybody's money, that forced the governments to lock everyone down and keep everybody from working. How stupid and criminal was that? It especially looking back now, like, it's one thing if you're in the midst of it at the time. I fell prey to it too. But for about a year, I was just like, well, let me put this shit on, And I had no choice too, because I worked for Amazon at the time. Very, very cucked company, very, very cucked. And it's like the type. I live in a certain part of California where it's like usually you're kind of like shielded to a certain extent from like the extremes of that kind of like behavior and mentality. But even where I'm at, it's just like, oh my god, it's like the blue-haired, the purple-haired people were like, I remember I was wearing a mask, and I wear glasses most of the time. I was wearing it below my nose because I breathe heavy. I breathe heavy with my mouth. I breathe heavy with my nose, and it fogs up my glasses. So fuck that. I'm not gonna wear that shit. At least I'm gonna keep all the head people from fucking saying shit. But who pops off? Someone like someone just like what's it called? Just like not even nonchalantly, but it was just like very like sassy, very fucking beta, energy from this female, this like blue haired like fucking nerd woman. It's just like she's like talking to someone, like making sure that I hear her, making sure that she gets known, that she's known and heard. But it's just like, I can't stand it when people don't wear their masks correctly. And I was like, bitch, you better not be talking to me. It's like, oh my god, I was just like, fuck this, man. It's like, and it's like, and it's not like one of those things where you can actually make a stand, It's one of those places where you can like, oh yeah, I'm doing a First Amendment audit. This is my right. It's like, no, it's like they are literally a corporation. If you piss them off enough, they will, see you escorted out of the building, and if you can't comply, that's the only, you can't, it's like, if you can't even freaking get along with them, I guess, it's like, you can't just, not deliver. It's like, or it's like, you're just going to be like, hey, bye, you're not delivering anymore. You can't even get into the distribution center to get your packages to get going. So, yeah, that's one of those things right there. So it's like, these people that literally like make the biggest deal, and it's like, yeah, sure, it was kind of nice to see that there were people like, screw this, but it's all topical, it's all aesthetic, that's all it really was, man. These types of people that were like, were vocal during COVID, and like, oh no, yeah, this is my medical exemption card. It is like the Constitution, the First Amendment, or some kind of like phony card. I was just like, okay, it's just like, it's literally just, you're patting you're the same people that were literally like not even nowhere near like in the medical field, that were getting on everybody for not wearing masks, are the same people that were doing the whole like, you can't fucking silence me, you can't put a mask on, muzzle on me. It's just like, it was very, very phony to see on both sides, especially since the right claims to be this like, it's like, oh yeah, very high testosterone, very masculine kind of side of the political ball, whatever it is. I'm not gonna say spectrum, but yeah, I know for dudes that claim to be like, yeah, we don't take no shit. It's like, you took a lot of shit. You allowed everybody else to take shit, and you only served yourself. It's like, you only served yourself. And yeah, before I get off too much on a tangent, that's one of the examples I was saying that this is all stemming from the whole Colorado thing. It's just another event where dudes on the right will say, oh my god, why don't we do something, or someone should do something. That's all it is someone should do something. But they're not going to do anything themselves, because they themselves, they're just slaves to the status quo. They're slaves to their jobs. They are too cucked to see anything else, to see something done about it themselves. And it's just like, yeah, you can say that, well, what about me? But I'm just like, well, fuck, bro. It's like, you think that one person can make a change? It's like, all these dudes that are connected, they all have like they all know people in these like car groups and these like militias and everything. It's like, I don't got too many people that share the same views, So it's like, one of these days I'll probably see if I can start a group, something like that, a lifestyle kind of thing that shares the same values as I do. But right now I'm just gonna be pointing it as it is. And right now, this whole Venezuelan gang thing is just another event for conservatives and these right wingers to like just jerk off about how like, oh my god, we need to take this country back. And it's like, but the only thing that they're willing to do is literally just lift a finger and go vote. That's it. And if you see that as your only way out of a problem, if you see that as your way out of World War III or Civil War, then you're already lost. There's nothing else to there's no hope for you. You're gonna be cannon fodder. You're gonna be thrown up against the wall. You're gonna be ushered into the boxcar, and you'll still be believing till the end that, oh my god, we need to take this country back. You're literally gonna be the meme. So much for the tolerant left. You're gonna literally have the guillotine coming down on you. Any last words? So much for the tolerant left. That's literally all you're gonna do, because that's all you've done so far, and look where it's gotten you. Anyway, that's it for now.